agenda. So, Mr. Lee, will you lead on this? I'm always delighted to hear mine about but okay, it's just so we can clarify, really, as laid out in the situation around the POS procurement. Some of us read some newspapers, which, not normally is a word in this event at times, and so on and so forth. Suddenly there was talk of joint ventures, which seemed to have moved some. So I just thought this was an opportunity for the executive to lay out the positions they see it around possible joint venture, and for members of this committee to reason on that. So who's going to lead?
Shall I make an opening comment there, if I may, Mr. Chairman, that I have not yet seen any papers or outline case for a joint venture at all. And so it would be a very steep hill to climb to persuade me that that was a good idea.
Right, okay, so that's fairly clear for the legal council. They couldn't be clearer, in effect. I think that probably reflects the experience of other members, whether they're on the executive or in the scrutiny function. Okay, are there any questions or comments? Marvellous, good, well then. Well, I fancy my supper, frankly, but so members have comments, then I'm not inviting them if they don't like. So, Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Chair. The issue, and you quite rightly raised the issue of the joint venture, and members will remember that at the options appraisal stage, the decision was very clearly for strategic partnership, and I'll be quite clear about that being a frustrating options appraisal process. And we've had a response around, well, the joint venture was never off the table, it was there in the updated business case as a single line actually in the paper, not mentioned in the lead paper at all. So I've got a set of questions to try and tease this out. I just want to clarify what you've said, Councillor Cornelius. Has a decision of any sort been taken around the DRS to be done by a joint venture, and you seem to be indicating that wasn't the case? Is the Council still negotiating with the bidders on the basis of a strategic partnership? And what's the current likelihood of the final DRS agreement being via a joint venture company? And I'll get the answers to those, and I'll probably have a couple of follow-ups.
The answer is, of course, that no, as I said, no case has been made for it. I mean, if a case is made and it comes forward with enormous projected savings, then of course it is something that we would look at very carefully. However, it would require a deal of persuasion to make me shift towards believing that was a sensible outcome.
I have to say, for once, I think it always is the lead has been very clear. It's quite right and Bob for the lead to say, suddenly the joint venture proposal produced 50 million of savings. It was, I suppose, the legal jump at it, but his position has been made quite clear. Your question takes further.
Yeah, they do. I mean, clearly, I've done a bit of reading up about joint ventures, did at the time, and have refreshed some of that. And clearly, it takes different forms. And the reason that my understanding and memory from the options appraisal stage was that actually the risks, it presented significant greater risks to the council. So I just want to know, in this being potentially on the table, have you started to look at any options appraisal around the different models that are around?
Can I answer that? The answer is I have not. Officers have been closeted with the bids as they've come in and are going through the reading of the documents that have come. As far as I'm concerned, there has been no report to me about that, but I look forward to that and actually seeing the things myself. But I can only really refer to my previous answer. If there is a case made for a JV that is entirely convincing, then fine. But there are risks involved, and it's not something that we set out initially to do.
So,
I mean, I share your frustration with the whole European procurement process. I mean, and one couldn't really have thought of a more complicated way to do things, and with the sort of nightmarish slip that could lead to potential judicial review. I mean, it is something that one does need to be very careful with, and one mustn't rule anything out, I suppose.
so you're quite clear that you haven't, but there potentially is work going on, so I'm kind of trying to be careful how I ask this. Has outline option business case been looked at for a joint venture, and is that full work being done around the risk and relative benefits?
Sorry, Councillor, I think the leader has answered this question. I know you're trying to get something out of him which he's not going to say, and you've now asked the same question in 3 different ways, and you're a very experienced and clever politician, but I don't think you're going to get the leader to shift any further.
And one final question. There is a risk register around the Barnet projects. Is there any reflection within that of the potential option, given that the Cabinet member has said that the joint venture was still there within the outline, within the updated outline business case? Is that reflected in the full risk register on the Barnet project?
A technical question about the risk register, which the answer is?
I'm afraid, Mr. Chairman, I will need to go and review the register and reply. Off the top of my head, I don't know what it is.
Well, presumably the register is available for members to inspect anyway.
Could I have a copy of that? Could I be sent a copy of that risk register?
But Chairman, the business case supporting any proposal will have the risks in there. It will. And we as members will demand that. So yes, Councillor Moore, there will be a risk register with the proposal.
Right. Can I'll take that members, but can I, Mr. Charles, there was a question that I said I put to Cabinet members from the public. Mr. Charles would kindly note it or read out.
Absolutely, it's not verbatim, but the Chairman agreed that the Cabinet member would respond to the question is, can the Cabinet member provide assurance that the competitive dialogue process will not influence the ultimate outcome of the procurement, i.e. to go with a strategic partnership or joint venture?
The answer is no.
Right, okay. Councillor Scheinman.
Thank you. Will Councillor Cornelius now ask to see any reports that have been written on the joint venture in order to, I mean, it does seem this would be quite...
I think you're trying to ask the same question again. I'm sure the legal counsel sees all the relevant documents.
Well, he said he did say he hadn't seen anything on the joint venture, so I'm now asking him, would he seek to look at any reports that have been prepared?
I'm probably every bit as curious as you are, and when it is appropriate, I will make a very full reading of all the documentation.
Councillor Mitchell.
Can I just ask in relation to if a joint venture, well, I mean, Mr. Dix actually asked a question about had anybody contacted, had any of the committee spoken to Somerset, so I'm happy to answer and
say... I didn't ask that because I didn't get out of because I couldn't speak for Labour members.
Well, I'm happy to answer that I haven't, but likewise, if joint venture is being considered, I think somebody should be invited to the committee to let us know their experience.
Well, I'm sure there would be a full scrutiny process. I have seen, unless you're going to overrule, I have seen Councillor Mitchell, Councillor.
Okay,
Come on.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I'm a little bit confused by the process that's gone on here, because I think I think everybody here has read the email that went out from Mr. Moore over the summer to staff at Barnet Council, which I think if I describe it seemed to be more the definitive towards going through a joint venture rather than examining the options. Would you
right, okay, I'm going to rule on this. Firstly, I haven't read such an email, nothing's been sent to me. Sorry, I'm not aware that any members had an email from us all from the subject. So, right, so have we had any members? So, no. So, right, I've only read nonsense in some of the local newspapers, which I've taken a very large pinch of salt. But, I mean, I'll ask you to talk, but the leader's given the definitive answer on this matter. And, sorry, the leader's given a definitive answer.
I'm giving the only answer I can.
Correct. So you're not going to get any more. Mr. Leader, anything to add on that? Right. Councillor Mitchell?
Well, can I ask about the timeline of events then? Can you tell me when the issue of the joint venture came back on within the council? It came back on the radar. Can you give us a date when you
Sorry, it was never off the radar. It was in the CRC report of whichever date that was, and obviously, am I correct, Councillor Thomas? As it was, you know, in the CRC, so it's never been off the radar or on the radar, all right?
In December last year, Chairman, the report stated that joint venture should not be ruled out. It was as simple as that. And obviously what's happened is since the talks have gone on, the prospect of joint venture has been explored more fully. And actually, when that report was made, the view on a joint venture was made without having talked to any of the bidders. Now we've talked to them, of course, your view changes. That's what competitive dialogue is all about. So that's where we are in terms of the timelines. In terms of further timelines, an email was sent to all members a couple of weeks back with the timetable for both projects, and I won't add to that. I will add, there was a question, Chairman, about experiences. Of course, there are joint ventures throughout the country, all different, set up in different ways. There are some that have failed, there are some that are succeeding. And what I've asked officers to do is when they come back to us with proposals, if it does contain a joint venture, is to have those learn from experiences where joint ventures have failed. We want to see that, of course, but also we want to see what opportunities they can bring. And I don't think at this stage anyone can either be vehemently for it or against it. We need to see the proposals and the detail, and that's what the leader has said.
Okay. Councillor Mitchell, have you concluded? Thank you, Councillor Moore.
Well, it's good to hear that. I think there are a range of challenges around both strategic partnership and joint venture models. And we are 18 months plus down the line from those options appraisal stages. And therefore, what I would like to propose, Chair, if I may, is that so that when we come to do our pre-decision scrutiny on whatever proposals come forward, to enable us to exert the proper scrutiny and challenge at that stage, I'd like to propose that we have some kind of external speakers around both strategic partnership models and joint venture models, particularly around those successes and failures, to equip us best to exert that challenge at what I believe is the meeting on the 29th of November. We have a meeting ahead of that, and it would seem to me a helpful opportunity for this committee to equip itself for that challenge. We are talking, and you may Ms. Gallagher, but we are talking about huge change to the way the council's doing business, and actually it behoves this committee to equip itself as best it can to exert that proper challenge and scrutiny at that stage. And therefore, I would like to move that we have more information around those models at the next budget and performance committee.
Right. Okay. In due course, as chairman of this committee, I will decide, in consultation with members of all parties, what resources this committee needs. I'm not drawn in any shape or form to some sort of outside speakers. We're all experienced politicians around this table. We're all perfectly able to do a scrutiny process on this contract or any other contract. But I shall, through the officers, ask for whatever resources, and I'm sure the leader will provide those resources for proper scrutiny to be done. But inviting people with access to grind and experiences to share on war stories is not something that I think would be particularly helpful. But I'm not quite sure what you're formally proposing.
I think what we're saying, what we've concluded is Councillor Cornelius hasn't read anything about it, but other reports, there are, sorry, what I mean
to let's do this sensibly, without the snide.
A joint venture.
Without the snide comments. Councillor Cornelius, the leader of the council has made his position clear. Now, the fact that you haven't been able to crack his position is not my problem. But he's made his position clear, he's not going to move from that position, which is, in my view, a fair and reasonable and quite categorical position. Now, if you want to pose some course of action, which I think Councillor Moore is doing, then you're very free to do so.
Yeah, if what we've concluded is the joint venture is still on the table. I think that is what we have heard. If that is the case, as this scrutiny committee is scrutinising one body, we need to be able to properly scrutinise that.
If the joint venture is getting anywhere near conclusion, but from what I've heard from the leader, he will take a substantial amount of convincing before we get anywhere near a joint venture. So if I were a gambling man, which I'm not, I think you could probably put the Icelandic bank deposits on there won't be a joint venture if I were a gambling man. So quite why, Councillor Simon, you need to get excited about something which is highly unlikely to happen. I'm not sure.
Can I therefore formalise the proposal I was about to make? I am quite serious that we are 18 months plus down the line for the options appraisal, and the key challenges and risks of both the models that are potentially being considered, that is a strategic partnership and a joint venture of some form, and there are many, and I'm sitting here with the HM Treasury guidance around joint ventures, that we have at our next budget performance meeting a full briefing on the options so that we can actually discuss the challenges and formulate and bring together the sorts of questions we're going to need to ask properly of those bids when they're coming, that paper is coming forward. And I'm not being difficult, but I am trying, but what I'm saying is that we do need to equip ourselves effectively, and it is a complex and difficult area. And I would like to move that is at our next meeting.
Right, okay, Councillor, that is entirely reasonable request that we have a full briefing on the possible options. I'm sure Mr. Charwood can do that in joint officers, and it's entirely reasonable request that we have a briefing on options, but not the specific options, because we won't be there with specific options for our next meeting, but general options. Fine, I'm sure if that's what members want. I'd much rather this committee spent its time in the future scrutinising the details when we have them and when they're available. But, you know, I'll take advice. Did you want to add something?
Chairman, if I may just help out with that, the recommendations due to be presented to Cabinet for the for the NSCSO in December and the DRS in January. So you're talking not October, you're talking a little bit further.
Well, this committee would like to see those, even if we have to meet in private.
Special meeting.
We'd like to see those in advance of the, and I'm quite insistent that we will do that in advance of the Capital Resources Committee taking the decision. It may need flexibility in members' diaries, and it may need meetings in private, because it's commercially sensitive. But I'm quite clear that we will do that in the appropriate time.
If I may, Chair, and I'm trying to word this carefully because I do recognise that it has potential sensitivity. We are looking at the two projects as separate projects, and they're coming through on different timescales. But I think, certainly my experience of the interrogation we had around the options appraisal for the NSCSO model, which ran second originally, and I hope was a more effective set of pre-decision scrutiny than the DRS, where we were all a bit green and beginning to cut our teeth on it. The two are coming through at separate times, but they may or may not have interrelated elements to them, and I was quite clear when we talked about the NSCSO, the justifications for the different models actually had some implications around those services. And so I'm just, when we're looking at those, can we find some way of ensuring that we can talk about, for example, and I'm being as general as I possibly can, some of the services potentially, back office services, that one of the projects might use could or could not be delivered by the other project, and I don't get a sense of where that was the business case hung on some of that, and I don't know whether the project, I'm trying to be general without getting myself into commercial confidentiality.
And
the two might be interrelated.
They are two separate procurements.
And it is not the role of this, it is not the role of this committee to rewrite the procurement process. That's the decision on the structure of the projects that has been taken, which it is. I'm afraid that's what we have to live with. So, unless officers exploring something else.
No, I simply wish to reassure this committee that within two contractualisation processes, there are specific interface clauses which deal with ensuring.
Sorry, could you just say that in English?
Sorry. So it is very honest. Within the two contracts, there are clauses and specific schedules which ensure that the two contracts interact fully and we don't have a mismatch, which I think deals with Councillor Moore's concern. Beyond
Quite
that,
sure it does, but never mind, because I think Councillor Moore's concern is beyond the remit.
but beyond that, as the leader says, that they have to be treated as two
Because the
contracts.
trouble is, you start rewriting the process, you end up having to start all over again.
I'm not suggesting, I mean, we've been through the whole issue. If we were rewriting the process, we'd be doing a public sector comparator right at the outset, we didn't do that. However, the issue here is that the savings predicated in one may rely on the costs of services in the other, but I'm not trying to get into the commercial confidentiality.
Right, okay, so I think we've reached a consensus, which says, we've reached a consensus, councillors, which says that we're going to do the scrutiny work in advance of the two projects going to the appropriate committees. We'll have sufficient resources to be properly briefed on the process and so on. And there we are, we've heard what the leader said about a joint venture. So I think we've reached a consensus. Okay, so we note that item. All right, thank you. Thank you, colleagues. Leader, if you could just give us 5 minutes, I think, while we do the forward plan. Cabinet forward plan, page 43, item 9. Does anybody want to make a comment? My comment would be this is less forward plan or a diary, but as I understand, the legal responsibility for doing a forward plan has been abolished now. As Chief Lessing
Just what we were getting regularly.
Just yes, Councillor Cook.
Parking review, we're going to in-year changes. When does this committee get to the outcome?
I'm not sure parking reviews out of this committee, is it? Well, they come in the normal course of
We can factor into the work programme of the overall scrutiny committee so that it doesn't come here with basic business management.
It was requested as a pre-decision scrutiny item, if you remember.
okay, well, we'll put it in. Fine. Councillor Rayner?
Chairman, can I ask why we're looking tonight at a document dated July 2012 and we're more updated document?
You must be joking.
I'm being very
Numbers
serious.
when it is to get that one.
I'm being very serious because this is a problem that we also have in business management. We know that the meeting on the 27th of September isn't going to take place.
Well,
Yes, that's for reasons of technical
I
nature.
know, but we have it in this programme.
Through you, Chairman, unfortunately the cabinet forward plans are quite frequently out of date by the time they're published. But as Councillor the Chairman says, there's changes to the regulations around key decisions. There's now a requirement for councils to publish details of key decisions 28 days before they've been taken. So there will be a new format and we're in the process of working through that and we'll be publishing that. So the committee will have that information, all scrutiny committees will have.
I'm sure I'll be a lot happier.
I'm sure you'll be ecstatic, Councillor Rayner.
if I could just add that the change in regulations came as a complete surprise.
Well, it's that wonderful man, Eric Pickles, isn't it?
I'm sure it just slipped by.
Sorry,
Well, I think the comment I would make about the forward plan is that it has been like pulling teeth. It was a requirement to publish. It has never been up to date. It has made the issue of planning pre-decision scrutiny, I won't say impossible, but extremely taxing. And it is not unusual to have it 2 to 3 months out of date. It actually does make a mockery of the whole process. So I would look forward to the publication of key decisions. 28 days actually doesn't necessarily give us time to factor it into our pre-decision scrutiny cycle, and therefore I think some thought needs to be given to that.
oh, events, the more events, as the great man Howard Millen said.
Look, we have battled long and hard about the issue around pre-decision scrutiny in this authority. I would like to see that pre-decision scrutiny happening at a much earlier stage. What we do is have an opportunity to comment on a cabinet or cabinet resources paper that is already but essentially completed.
Unfortunately, we have to live in the real world, Council.
Well, no, actually, there are authorities where that pre-decision scrutiny happens at a much earlier stage, and it's about the policy development arm of scrutiny, which is actually where you're really going to add value if we were able to do it that way.
Okay, are members happy to note the general forward plan? Members happy to note item 10, our work programme? There are no